And this is the second episode to Bigfoot Club. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Robert Jesse Dominguez. We'll go around the room and do a roll call. Who's here? We'll start with the right over here.
What's up? Steven Tucker? Do you mean tell him how we met and everything?
Yeah, this is, you weren't here. Steven Tucker wasn't here on the pilot episode, so.
Well, we met through somebody, and then I started working with you, and that's another thing to talk about when we start talking about paranormal, because you see a lot of shit in security.
Oh yeah. So we were working security together, right?
Yeah.
For how long?
Oh man, well, I don't know. I don't remember. What, 4 years or?
It was a bunch of hours, though, right?
It was a lot of hours.
How many hours?
About 72 a week, 64.
And they made what?
Huh?
And how much money did they make?
$1,500. That's a lot of money back in the day.
So
$1,500 a week was, well, I guess that's still a lot of money to some
I was
people.
gonna say that's not bad money now.
We were hustling.
Depends on where you're at.
Yeah, we were hustling.
But you see a lot of paranormal activity out in the field, especially in being those empty buildings at night. Oh, I don't know if they qualify as paranormal activity, but
yeah,
they felt like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of empty buildings, a lot of old buildings in downtown Dallas.
Make you take off running sometimes.
Yeah. When they're right on your DAR, I wasn't scared. So
I didn't tell anybody.
I looked it right in the eye.
So Ash is not with us tonight, but we also have Chris here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Glad to be back.
Thank you for. We haven't titled this episode yet, but we'll title it down the road.
We'll let it grow.
Yes. Okay. So.
But she probably wish she was here right now than doing her paranormal activities tonight. So.
Yeah. For sure. So let's go wrestling first. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Before we get started, I just want to say I'm excited for where wrestling is going. It makes me almost feel like the WCW, WWF days.
Yeah. I mean, TNT on Wednesdays going against NXT, WWE. I was flipping back and forth, but that's just me. I'm really excited about AEW, and I know a lot of other people are as well.
I think they're going to give them a run for their money.
You know, I don't think they're going to beat him ratings-wise, but it's going to hurt him enough. Like, it's going to hurt Vince enough where he's going to probably, he just moved Finn Balor from the Raw roster to NXT, which I think is a step down. That's me.
That's a big step down.
And like people on Facebook, on the wrestling pages were saying, NXT is another brand. It's not a step down. And really, it's a step down.
It's a step down. Yeah.
So, do you agree?
Oh yeah, of course. And not speaking of wrestlers, but what's going on? That's the American dream. If you see how much money WWE is making, you think I can go make the same money, and I don't like the storylines. I can go do a better job, so they start their own company. Yeah,
that's one of the things I love about AEW is I think a lot of guys are in AEW formerly with WWE because of the storylines. Like I said the last show that Kenny Omega liked doing certain things, and there's guys and there's articles out there that say, Vince wasn't listening, so we're signing with AEW. So,
well, we talked about last show too, the creative control. As a wrestler, if you can go in and be who you want to be, you're going to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
And why would you want to be with a company that's going to try to take that away from you? There's no reason to be. Yeah, they're the biggest. Yeah, they're the baddest. Yeah, but you can go punch them in the eye and give them a little bit of a black eye and do what you want to do. I think I'd rather do that. I think I'd rather be who I am and what I want to be than be controlled.
Yeah, because like my little nephew Ricardo, he thinks it's cool.
Too sweet.
See what I mean?
I think the only thing I dislike about the process, they're not able to keep their names.
Yeah,
but that goes into the whole contract of it all. The brand owns the name and all that stuff. And
there's a few wrestlers that are allowed to they own their own rights. So AJ Styles is one of them.
Yeah.
He owns his own rights.
Yeah,
so he can take his name anywhere and still make
Anywhere
money
he
off
wants
that
to, anywhere he
merchandise.
wants.
And WWE won't make anything.
No.
But he did that
Japan.
before. Yeah, I was gonna say he did that in Japan. He did that before he went to TNA. He did that before he went to WWE. He made sure that no matter where he went, you're not getting me unless you're getting me. You're not going to change who I am. You're not going to change what I do. Well, why would you want to? AJ Styles is awesome, you know?
And how come that doesn't happen with a lot of, you have a lot of wrestlers, they come from families of wrestlers, dads, uncles, cousins. How come they wasn't taught to do the same thing? How come it's not being done?
It's like, that's a good question, but it's like, today's age, and a lot of wrestlers, they just don't think that far. They don't think about marketing and about, hey, I'm going to go work on the East Coast, or hey, I'm going to go work over here in his indies and then go work for WWE and keep the same name. So I don't know. I know a lot of current wrestlers are doing it now. So
and they have the opportunity to do it now too by this new company AEW. And again, going back to, if I can be who I want to be and do who I want to do,
right, then
I'm going to go to a company that's going to give me that freedom, that creative control that I want to be my character. And when you talk about WWE, and you mentioned, Robert, at the beginning, yeah, they're not going to take WWE down. I don't think any company is ever going to take WWE down, but pulling Finn Balor off the main roster and putting him on NXT, that's a big statement that Vince McMahon is trying to make to other companies trying to come after him.
Right.
I'm going to move my talent where I've got to move my talent to compete with you. Because Finn Balor is not an NXT wrestler. He is a main card wrestler. Any organization that he's with, he is a main card wrestler. And for Vince to make a move like that, that lets you know that they're poking him.
Yeah,
they do that a lot, not with live events, but regular events.
Yeah.
They bring people down, just for those events. I don't know how long this is going to be for.
Well, those are probably like non-televised stuff.
You're right.
This was a televised. They showed Finn Balor coming down, and they say Finn Balor's home, and I go, it's a step down.
Has he made any tweets about that? His opinion?
I don't follow Finn Balor. I probably should.
I probably should too.
But I don't.
I'm not a big social media guy. In fact, I just made a Twitter account for Bigfoot Club today and don't know how to run it. So,
my opinion, I don't know if there should or will be another company made like AEW, but I think there should be, because I don't know, are you wrestling just for money? I mean, if you give me $1 million a year, should I worry about if I'm getting TV time or if I'm getting to wrestle, or should they just move on? Because they're not going to make as much.
Yeah, I mean, some wrestlers care about that. They care about the money, and some cares about exposure and their brand and their market. But
because I noticed Saturday y'all was talking about how many people is on the roster. It's ridiculous.
yeah,
it
is ridiculous.
I mean, because they pretty much they have all of Impact's old, like 3 years ago, Impact's roster is on WWE, and they're not utilizing them, or they're a jobber, or they're doing non-televised stuff.
But then again, like we said last week, why did they come over to WWE?
For the money.
For the money. Because even as a jobber, they're going to get paid at WWE more than they're going to get paid anywhere else just being a jobber. And those are the ones that are in it just for the money. Now you have the ones that are leaving WWE, going to AEW, or going indie, or going to Japan, or whatever. They make a lot of money in Japan too. But as far as money, you're always going to have the ones that do it for the money, and you're always going to have the ones that do it for the love of it. And I mean that's what I love about Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes says, I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I'm going to go do my own thing. And again, they, like you said earlier, start a new brand. Well, that's what he did. He's like, hey, you tired of the same old saying? Let's start our own company. Let's do our own thing.
I mean, he's backed by the Khan gentleman that owns the
Jaguars,
the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's got the money to do it. So, and that guy is like really high into analytics and stuff. So I think he knows what he's doing. So I think they're solid. And there's a lot of people on Facebook that are hating on them and saying that they're not going to last, but I think they are.
How do you think WWE negotiates these contracts? Because you think the wrestler says, okay, I know I'm not going to get to wrestle. You're paying me. I'm going to be preserving my body. But you're paying me because I'm not going to take money from you with another brand. They're still being profitable.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Vince probably does a contract where, hey, you're going to work for me, and if you decide if your contract ends, then, you have 120, 90 days, non-compete. So he probably does that, but, whether someone gets hot or not, he can't control that on the contract. So there's people that he signs, and eventually people like Daniel Bryant. He got hot, and he couldn't control it, so...
Did he not control it, or did WWE take it away from him?
I think once he got hot, they were trying to curve it, and they couldn't, and the crowd was just going yes, yes, yes all the time.
If he becomes a good guy and brings the yes chant back, I'm all in.
I'm so ready for that.
He actually just turned. So at Hell in the Cell, he teamed with Roman. And at the very end, because Roman and Daniel beat the Bludgeon Brothers, and at the very end, Roman sticks out his hand to shake his hand, and then Daniel goes to shake his hand, and he kind of pulls it away and goes like this. He shakes his finger no, and then does his hands up like a hug, and so they embraced, and all the crowd was going yes, yes, yes. So
he's coming back.
I think he just turned babyface again. So
I think I used to be a big Daniel Bryant fan, but I've moved on. I think it's too late to bring it back for me.
So
once you take away something, you can't get it back. It won't be the same.
So who's your top 5 wrestlers right now, currently? Not in the past, but currently right now.
Ooh.
If you had to, top 3.
I don't know. There's a lot of them, and it's not just from one brand.
Chris, how about you?
I'm gonna say right now, Kenny Omega is on top. I think he's got to be at least top 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, man, it's tough. Like Tucker said, it's tough because are you talking about just in wrestling general, or are you talking about
from each brand? Because like AEW, you got Kenny Omega, you got Chris Jericho. You got a lot of people that's coming up.
I was thinking.
I would say any group, any company, just who's your top 5.
Kenny Omega. I would put Jericho up there right now. He's on fire right now, and I would say starting to make another splash and starting to make his move is Jon Moxley.
Jon Moxley, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say, and guess what? They're all AEW guys. So
I think he made his move when he went to AEW.
Yeah, I think he's about to explode,
Man.
and he's always been one of my favorites. Always been one of my favorites. So, I think top 3: Kenny Ortega, Jericho, and Moxley.
Did you say Kenny Ortega? Is he a baseball player? Sorry.
Kenny Omega.
Sorry.
I was watching Jericho and Kenny Omega in Japan. That was badass, and they brought it here, and it's not like that anymore.
Well,
I mean, and Moxley was in Japan too.
Yeah, I think the top 5 for me is number 1's Kenny Omega, 2 is AJ Styles, 3 is Seth Rollins, probably 4 is Finn Balor, and 5 is Pentagon Jr. So I think those guys, and I kind of put that basically on if they can wrestle with anybody, and if they could wrestle a broom and it'd be like entertaining, or if they have like a good shtick. I know you really like that word shtick, but
so how come all the guys we just named, they're not getting the most TV time?
Like who, Jericho, or
like all the guys you just named? Seth is the only one getting the most TV time.
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of wrestling, so AJ gets TV time, regardless whether he's the main storyline or not. Pentagon Jr. He does a lot of stuff. He does Impact. He does AAA. He does Lucha Underground. He does AEW. So he gets a lot of stuff. Seth, he's going to be the man for a while. And Kenny Omega, I think he's on a losing streak right now, but I still think he's the best wrestler in the world.
I think you got to put him number 1.
Yeah.
Because I think he could wrestle a broomstick and make it entertaining.
Yeah.
So He's just what he does is everything about him. It's not just his wrestling. It's his performance. It's his shtick.
Yeah.
You think Fox is going to help bring the Attitude Era back? We can show more on Fox.
Man,
Well,
I hope so.
I mean,
I hope so.
It's not as family as USA.
You know, here's the thing about the Attitude Era, and I tell people this all the time. And the Attitude Era was one time and period that I forgot what's it called, the FCC. They had like really low standards and rules, and they didn't really care. And the WWE pounced on that, and it was like there was one time in the era. In time that it's never going to come back again.
Yeah,
the Attitude Era is not a program you can just put in and say, okay, let's just add this, and this, and it can't be. It's going to be something else.
I know it's not a plug and play thing. I know that, but can we please start to go back to possibly bringing it back? I mean, the Attitude, you cannot deny that the Attitude Era was the greatest era in wrestling history. You can't deny it.
I think the only way you can bring it back is if AEW explodes more than it goes 2 shows. It goes 2 shows, you might get it back. Maybe.
Well, let's blow it up and make it go 2 shows.
You think they might? You think they might replace Tuesdays? SmackDown?
Well, SmackDown moved to Friday.
Exactly. So you think they'll take over Tuesdays?
So right now, wrestling wise, Mondays is Monday Night Raw. Tuesdays is Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays is NXT and AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays, I think it's 205 Live. I could be wrong. Someone correct me on that one. But and then Friday Night SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's what we was talking about before we started the podcast today. It's consuming. My wife hates this. It's consuming a lot of my time.
yeah, it consumes a lot of mine too. So, I mean, I'm caught up on shows. I say, okay, I'm gonna watch AAA. I'm gonna watch AAA wrestling on YouTube, see how it goes. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just love wrestling way too much. Hey, since we're talking about love and wrestling. Growing up, who was y'all's guys' favorite wrestler?
Oh man, hands down, was the Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard.
The Junkyard hands no. And I grew obviously growing up in Texas. You got the Von Erichs. The Von Erichs are absolutely a staple in Texas. You gotta love them. They're a staple in Texas. But man, I love the Junkyard Dog.
What about you, Tuck?
I like the Von Erichs. I don't like talking about the Von Erichs because a lot of people know their names, but they don't know anything about them. They can't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Being from Texas, I'm sure all of us, we can tell you what happened. It's sad, but for me, I used to walk around doing the bushwhackers.
Oh yeah, man.
I was a big Von Erichs fan, and I hated the Freebirds. I hated Ric Flair, but Michael Hayes said on a documentary once that if Fritz Von Erich had let his boys, go around the country and wrestle, he said you'd be talking about world-class championship wrestling instead of WWE. He said they were that popular and they were that hot, and you could drop them anywhere and they would sell out.
Well, yeah.
So,
let them go free.
Yeah.
And he didn't. So.
Yeah, Freebirds. Sorry.
I hated. I'll piggyback on that. I hated Ric Flair growing up.
Yeah.
I hated the guy. I couldn't stand him. Every time he came out and he did his little walk and then he wooed.
His little strut.
And then his daughter comes out and I can't stand her either.
She's probably she's probably the best female talent right now.
Well, she probably is, but that doesn't mean I have to like her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How come they're not connected to wrestling right now?
The only person whose life's Kevin.
Exactly. Yeah. And his son looks like a wrestler. Looks just like him.
Didn't you watch his nephews or something wrestle at Slammiversary?
They were in Slammiversary. They made an appearance in Slammiversary. And that was kind of it.
Yeah, they didn't get signed by Impact.
They didn't get no. They just
fill the card.
I mean, it was Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a Von Erich alive in Texas and you have a show, you're going to bring. Especially, I mean, TNA, they were needing something,
right?
And Slammiversary was in a college Coliseum, basketball Coliseum, and we barely even filled half the place.
Yeah.
So they had to make a splash, and what better name to make a splash in Texas than the Von Erichs?
The Von Erichs are like America.
That's right. So I mean, they brought them out, and then it was just kind of a. I mean, it's no different than WWE. If they're in town, they're gonna bring a Dallas Cowboy in, or when they brought Arrow in to do his little match, it's the same thing.
Stephen Amell.
Yeah, I can't ever think of his name.
Speaking of celebrities, who's your favorite celebrity that made an appearance ever
On wrestling?
anywhere? For me, it's Mike Tyson and Stone Cold.
That's good.
That was an impact. No pun intended.
Who was it? Who's your favorite celebrity?
I'm trying to think. Who is my favorite celebrity? I guess whenever Arnold showed up and he back slapped Triple H.
When he
Yeah, it was after Terminator. I think it was Terminator 2. He was help promoting or something. I don't
it was something like that. As much as I hated the appearance, and as much as I hated what happened, I loved when Jon Stewart came out.
Recently?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he messed up Cena's opportunity to do the record so Ric Flair could have it. And I say I hate it because I hate Ric Flair, but I loved how it happened. I thought it was entertaining.
What is Cena doing nowadays besides losing his hair?
He's doing. Are you smarter?
Smarter than a fifth grader?
Yeah. Hey, check this out.
Impressive. Most impressive.
So he's doing smarter than a fifth grader, and actually, I like him on the show. I like him. He's a pretty good host.
You think he brings anything anymore?
I think he brings his name.
I haven't watched it.
You haven't watched Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
No, I haven't watched it.
I'm not smarter than.
He started a fundraiser. I forgot.
Yeah,
something with fitness, military fitness, or something.
He's got a couple of them out there.
He'll match up to $1 million.
I know that my son loves him. That's what he brings. And my son loved it when he went back to hip hop, because oh man, my son went crazy.
I was watching his fitness. I think I started gaining weight. He eats way too much.
That's the opposite effect, Huck.
He's got to eat that much because he's got to feed those muscles. So
Yeah, but he was telling everybody else to eat that much too.
That's too much.
That's too much.
I thought you was going to tell me a while ago about like maybe Shaquille O'Neal or somebody like that.
No, Shaquille. I know, and I've shared my Jon Stewart story before, and people are like, "What the heck? Why would you do that? Why is that?"
No, that was interesting.
I just thought it was. I thought it was entertaining. I thought they actually put thought into it. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, I don't think they put any thought to it. They just say go, and I think they actually put thought into that one, and it actually came out. I mean, it worked out well. I liked it.
Yeah.
Some of these celebrities, it doesn't seem like they practiced that one bump and they just get destroyed.
Did you mention who was your favorite celebrity?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson's right. I'm sorry. Sorry.
You think I was gonna say who's the boxer they brought out? I hated that one.
The boxer recently?
No, the $1 million boxer.
The one that was fighting Big Show.
Yeah, I hated that.
I don't follow boxing, so
I don't follow boxing.
Yeah.
We're just gonna play Scrabble. I swear.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
So, Chris, do you have any information you want to read to us?
I got a little something. We started out talking about wrestling tonight, and I thought it would be cool to see what wrestler had a birthday today, and
who would that be?
It looks like awesome.
Right.
So the Miz turns 39 today. Happy birthday, Miz.
Happy birthday.
I don't think it was a good birthday for him since Cleveland lost last night. So.
Yeah. So he might be unhappy.
He didn't get to drink his beer.
Now that Cleveland didn't lose, they got destroyed. Let's keep it real.
But he can't drink when they lose. He has an ice chest and it's locked.
Yeah,
and
it's
that lock
locked.
comes off when they win.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Because I watched the Divas. I'm sorry.
the Browns are garbage.
so garbage. She's so my word. But he turns 39 today. So happy birthday, Miz. Big shout out. So in honor of his birthday, I made a list of my top 5 Miz moments.
Wow.
There's that many.
So exactly, that's exactly what Robert said when I told him I was going to do this. So my top 5 Miz moments. But before I reveal my top 5, and my top 5 is building up to how Miz became who he is today. That's my top 5. But before I do that, I wanted to open the floor to you two to see if you had even one top Miz moment that you would like to share.
Do you have one?
I don't. I'm gonna say his show is garbage.
The only one that I had was when this was back when SmackDown was doing Talk Smack after SmackDown, and he had an argument with Daniel Bryant about Daniel Bryant being like retired, and I think he went off script and he started yelling at Daniel, and I think he missed their opportunity of. Because I think he was a heel then, and I think he missed the opportunity of going a babyface and changing his thing completely. Because he was like, not like hot looking, but he was hot. I mean, like he was burning, and like people were tweeting about it and Instagramming about it, and he missed the opportunity. But that was probably the most favorite moment I had from him.
You think that changed him to a babyface, or you think his
No,
kid? Because they said his kid is the one that changed him.
He was still a heel after that.
Yeah.
So
He's actually one of the biggest heels of all time, and
He's a good heel
Yeah,
actor, but they want him to be a babyface
I
right
know,
now.
but he's just not. It's kind of like whenever they were pushing Rocky Maivia, or however you say his name, Rocky Maivia. Sorry, I mispronounced the name, but The Rock was never meant to be a babyface. Never meant to be a babyface. He's always meant to be a heel. The Miz is meant to be a heel. He's to me one of the best heels all time. And I know I get crap for that, but hey, I'm a Miz fan. All right?
Hey, since you mentioned The Rock, do you think he's going to be making more appearances for the ratings?
he was on the Fox premiere.
But is he coming back?
I doubt it.
Okay.
He makes way too. He's the top grossing entertainer in the industry right now. So
He's too much.
yeah, he's too much. So my number 5 moment that launched the Miz into who he is today is competing on Tough Enough in 2004.
I do remember that.
He got to the final match, but he did not win. Do y'all know who he lost to?
Didn't he lose to Biscuit Jones?
No.
Okay.
Good guess.
I don't know who he lost to, but going back to my favorite, probably that's my favorite with Miz. Sometimes I'd rather watch Tough Enough than any wrestling show.
I tell you what, he brought it on that show.
They have to.
Yeah.
So who did he lose to?
Daniel Putter.
And where's Daniel Hutter now?
Exactly.
I can't make the noise of crickets, but I would have. There you go.
Sorry.
Exactly my point. So I put a loss on here because losing in that moment, he worked so hard.
He won.
Exactly. In his loss, he absolutely won. Okay. So that's number 5. Number 4, he was the first Deep South heavyweight champion in 2005. Do y'all remember Deep South?
No.
Was that on ECW?
It was a kind of like a developmental league for WWE.
Okay.
They
was
had,
before NXT. And
yes,
okay.
yes. So it was like a developmental league for WWE, and this was his first taste of actual, I guess, unofficial WWE gold. Was the Deep South Heavyweight Championship.
And who owns that?
WWE.
WWE owns
Yeah.
it, and it's still going today.
I don't know if it's still going today because I think NXT took it over.
I doubt it.
NXT blew up, man. I mean, and it's great. I love NXT. So I'm not sure if it's still going on today.
It's probably not.
It's probably not. But at the time, WWE had it. Number 3, when he won his first official WWE belt. Any of y'all know which one it was?
It was Money in the Bank one. It was Money in the Bank one.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, the belt?
The belt.
Intercontinental?
The first. Nope.
It was the U.S.
It was the United States Championship.
That's what I meant to say.
Against Morrison?
Nope.
Who?
That was later.
Okay.
But the first time he won it.
It was against Biscuit Senior.
No. Good guess. He just the person that he won it against just lost his title.
Oh,
Kofi.
In
Kofi Kingston.
Just
he
lost
was
it.
Jamaican then, right?
Yes. He was when he was Jamaican.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's number 3. Number 2, you spoke of Money in the Bank. Cashing in his Money in the Bank contract against who?
Was it Randy Orton?
Randy Orton.
Damn, I remember that one.
2009, he cashed it in against Randy Orton. Do you remember how he did it?
I do remember when he really did it. There was a little girl in the crowd who was pissed off.
Yeah, she was mad. All right, and number 1, this is totally outside of the ring, but his 2 kiddos, Marone Sky and Madison Jade. That's number 1.
when you said outside the ring, I thought you was going to bring up MTV.
Yeah, I didn't put any of that on there because the road rules and all that. Yeah, and the divas and all that good stuff. He was the host and all that, so I didn't put any on that. I just think that if you look in 2004, he was competing on Tough Enough, just trying to get a spot, and he lost. And then jumped to 2009, and he's cashing in his Money in the Bank to win the WWE Championship.
You know, I'm taking this away from him, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
So. Sorry.
So that's my top 5 Miz building moments. Like I said, I'm a big Miz fan. I've always been more of a heel fan than a babyface guy.
So when is he getting his belt back?
I don't know. Man.
I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna push him like anything.
Who's taking it away from Brock?
Who's gonna?
Somebody needs to.
I would wish Cena would.
Yeah.
And I heard y'all talking about this Saturday also. Do you really? I kind of think, why would you give a belt to somebody that could potentially leave with it? That's never been.
No, I think
that's never been like Vince.
Yeah, like that screw Montreal job. I don't think he'd ever go to that again. So.
No, I think Vince created that.
He might have
For money and popularity.
Maybe.
There's a lot of. I don't know, but there's a lot of opinions about that.
Maybe, but I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he would do that again.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if he did it then, I don't think he'd ever try to do it again or do it again.
Yeah, if he did it again, AEW is doing really well.
Speaking of that screw job, do you have any doubt in your mind that Brett knew about it and got paid for it? Because he was on his way out anyway.
He was doing a documentary at the time, and I don't know. I mean, if you watch that one, I've watched it a couple times. Not the one that you showed me, but the one that he was doing. It showed that he didn't have nothing to do with it because they actually showed footage of him hitting Vince in the face.
Yeah, that's my only argument. Why would he deny it and make money off of books, and then he really did know? But they said wrestling's a family. There's a lot of secrets.
Yeah, it is. But like the night after that, he signed with WCW.
Mm-hmm. He was already on his way out.
Well, yeah, he was already pushing his way out anyway.
And Vince wasn't gonna let him take the belt with him.
The thing that bugged me is that night of that pay-per-view, when he lost it and he spit at Vince, he did the fingers of WCW.
Yeah.
And the cameras didn't pull away.
No.
So whenever you say you thought he did it, I kind of thought that whenever it shows him doing that, WCW and stuff. So
Vince did not trust him to forfeit that belt the next day and leave.
I think he trusted him, but he didn't trust that his rivalry with Shawn Michaels was going to be at that level because he didn't want to give up the belt to Shawn, and he was told to do it, and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great documentary, though. Mm-hmm. It was good. So
that would have been his way to forfeit the next day, but would he have done it? Vince, that was the wars back then.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to let it go to WCW.
No.
There wasn't a chance that he was going to let it walk to WCW.
And if you look at some of those past YouTube videos, like WWE talking, they're saying, I got the WCW belt right here, and it's WWF background, They wasn't gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
So why would you give it to Brock? I didn't like that decision.
You know, as much as I say this over and over, he's money,
He's
man.
money.
I didn't like the Kofi decision. He did he's put in a lot of work to get that belt. He's just not the guy.
I'll tell you this, and I've talked
Kofi?
I've talked to Robert off air about this. I'm a huge Kofi Kingston fan as well, and that man has worked his butt.
He has,
off.
but he's not a heavyweight.
He's not a heavyweight, and that's one thing that holds him down. But if there's anybody that can hold it other than a heavyweight, man, Kofi Kingston has the clout to do that, and he deserves the right to do it. He doesn't deserve the right to lose his belt in 8 seconds just because it's Brock Lesnar.
Show some respect and tell me any other guy that's been in the business 20 years that hasn't held the belt at one point.
At one point, yeah. This was his first time. And the first time that he loses it is in 8 seconds because it's Brock Lesnar. I know Brock Lesnar's money, but I guarantee you there'd been more money if you had the match go 30 minutes.
Slap in the face. I think he knew it was coming. I think that's why I didn't see his kids in the crowd.
Yeah. That was kind of odd. I mean, because I know they're setting up, and we talked about this on Saturday, the Cain Velasquez, and everybody knows how I feel about that. I was not happy with that because.
You think that was off script? I think Brock does what he wants.
Well, he does what he wants, but why bring Kane out there? That just tells me to the entire roster who has contracts that, you know what, you don't count.
Exactly.
You don't count for the WWE title.
You said slap in the face. That is a huge slap in the face to everybody else because Brock gets what he wants.
He does. What about WrestleMania? He was the last card, and he came out first. Because he wanted to go to Vegas.
Because he wanted to leave.
Well, I think he did that because...
And the shortest match.
And was that a rumor? Was that true? Because I heard he was on the flight to Las Vegas because UFC was in Vegas, but he's back here.
Brock's idea is that he should be the main event and not women. That's just what probably what he thinks. And when he wasn't the main event, he wanted to be the first. Get it over with and get out of there. So,
what do you think about the women's evolution? I think they put in more work than the men do.
Well, I think they have to.
They're trying to get better.
They're trying to get better. I think it's long overdue.
I think it was coming.
Yeah.
I think it's already went away because I think WWE is going back to look at my butt and my boobs.
Yeah.
It's not technical no more. It used to be technical.
Yeah, I think there's some good wrestlers on the roster, but there's not some good wrestlers on the roster women wise. So I mean, Charlotte's really, really good. She can work against anybody. Becky Lynch, the man, she's getting better wrestle wise, but I think she's super hot and everybody's pushing her and the crowd loves her.
I liked her before she came to me.
You say she's super hot, but she doesn't show anything. She
just throws those punches.
Yeah, she's back in pants and she's back in t-shirt.
Yeah, she is, but I'm saying the crowd loves her.
I know it, and I'm my favorite female wrestler right now is Becky Lynch on WWE, and it's not even close.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Who's y'all's top three?
Mine is, I'll say this is
and when you make the decision, let's talk about wrestling. Cover them up. Cover them up.
Yeah.
There's 3 names.
Yeah. The 3 names that I can think of right now is Charlotte. She's number 1. 2 is Tessa Blanchard. She's on Impact. She wrestles guys right now. That's how good she is. And 3 is Becky Lynch because she's the man and she's.
I would. The only thing that I would change about that is I would put Tessa above Charlotte. I would put Tessa
number 1,
Charlotte, and then Becky Lynch. That's the only thing I would change about it. But those are top 3, and I don't think it's even close.
For me, I would take off Becky Lynch, and I would put Asuka there.
Asuka's up there.
Asuka's good. It's just, I think her lack of wanting to learn the English language is probably holding her back. I think if she would learn English, and there's no knock on anybody, not it's just like what's his name, Sin Cara came up here and he was really hot. He didn't want to learn English and he got sent packing.
Why should that hold you back? For 1 year straight, I didn't know if Goldberg knew English or not.
Yeah. Well, he's a former football player. Everybody knew that. So
I'm just saying.
I like Asuka, but I was telling you, I think she's limiting herself. And I think even Jericho said this, if you don't, because like when Jericho went to Japan, he learned Japanese. When he went to Mexico, he learned Mexican. So Spanish. So he could speak the language and do more. and he's critical about people that don't want to learn English here. You got to, and you got to be able to work with other people, and got to be able to.
And I think one thing that holds Asuka back in my mind is her overall performance. She's a great wrestler, but she's a great wrestler. She's not really a performer. I think Becky Lynch all the way around you get the performance and you get the wrestling. And
you get the talking.
So
I think they showed her more respect than they showed Kofi. I mean, her first loss was from Charlotte. I think that was respect.
Yeah. I think Charlotte's a better wrestler than her. But whenever you lose to somebody that's not a better wrestler than you, because I don't think Brock Lesnar is a better wrestler than Kofi Kingston. I don't care what anybody says. Kofi Kingston is by far, hands down, a better wrestler than him. And he's put in more time. And he put in more effort than Brock Lesnar. Now, I know when Brock Lesnar came out, he put in his time. And yeah, when you're money, you don't have to put in as much time. I get that. Perfect. John Cena. John Cena doesn't have to put in all that time. But you don't see John Cena coming in and taking a belt away from somebody in 8 seconds.
Right.
But John Cena put in the work.
Exactly.
He put in the time.
That's what I'm saying.
And he did it in this brand.
Here's the thing. You see John Cena come out and job to Undertaker. That's what you see. Because John Cena knows where he stands and he knows the respect in wrestling. John Cena came out and jobbed to Undertaker.
He did it in this brand. I don't care about what you did in the UFC or other brands. What have you done in this brand? Right. It's kind of like, the guy that broke his freaking neck, I mean, he had
Kurt Angle.
Yeah. He did a lot of stuff before he came here, but he came here and he did the work.
And he put in the work.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to.
They're giving me the scissor finger, the scissor fingers.
So our next subject, we're gonna.
And while they're deciding what they want to talk about, if anybody disagrees with what I'm saying, or if you want to add something, or if you want to. You can hit us on Facebook, and we'll get you next time.
Hit us on
bring
Facebook.
It up,
hit us on Twitter at Bigfoot Club 1. Hit us up. Yeah, if we get any of our facts wrong, or if we say something that you don't like, or we say something that you do like, please jump on there and let us know.
And I'll bring the conversation up, and I'll throw your name out there as a shout out, and let's participate.
Because that's we're here for y'all. We're here for y'all's entertainment and for y'all to get what you get out of it. So yeah,
it's not just about entertainment, and it's about, this is our passion. Yeah, we like to talk about this stuff. I like knowing what I don't know. So hit me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're jumping onto Bigfoot stuff now.
I have to tell you, that scream, that howl, I don't care how many times I hear it.
Right.
Man, it gives me the weebie-jeebies, man.
And I know I'm going to go off what Tucker said off mic earlier about stories and stuff, but one of my very first times in the woods, I was with Luke Gross, my mentor, and we were in. It was East Texas. I'm not going to say exactly where it's at. It was in East Texas. It was off I-30. So
about 15 minutes east.
Yeah, it was the longitude.
Was it like Tyler? Or?
No, it was like northeast of Sulphur Springs.
How many Bigfoots are there? I've seen Bigfoot sightings. Well, I haven't seen any. I've heard of them in Tyler, Oklahoma, Colorado, Canada, Russia. Like they're all over the world.
As much as I don't want to do this, but I'm going to push a website. It's the bfro.net. That's probably the best website to look up sightings, and they have it broken down by states and counties. And East Texas has a lot of sightings. I don't know the number in front of me. I don't have it in front of me, but they do have a lot of sightings, and that's probably the best place to go to look at that. So, like I was telling you about the story about the scream that we just played a while ago, there was one of the very first times I went out to the woods. I went with my mentor, Lucas Gross, and he was telling me about Bigfoot, and I was learning about it, and he was telling me, yeah, this thing's going to be coming around about midnight or 1 o'clock, and then it's going to come back between 3 and 5. And I go, okay. So we're right on this gas right away, and this lady's house that we're on her property and we were doing the research. She had all these dogs, and so she had like 4 or 5 dogs, and they were all friendly. They were sitting with us and wagging their tails and stuff like. But around 12:30, these dogs they go under the house, and they're not. I go, hey, where'd the dogs go? and Luke goes, he's coming. So about 20 minutes later, I heard a scream that was so freaking loud, it vibrated my whole chest. And it was like, it went on like, it seemed like 20 seconds. And so Luke turns to me and goes, well, he's just letting us know he's there. And then and then it stopped, and then the dogs came out. So I go, was that a train? He says, nope, it was a Bigfoot. So
I'm sorry, Robert. I trust you. It doesn't matter how good of friends we are.
right.
If that's what we're there for, it doesn't matter what I hear. You're going to be running towards it, and you're going to look behind you, and I'm not going to be there.
I concur.
I'll meet you at the car.
I mean, he was telling me that he's taking a lot of people out in the woods, and he used to say, Bob, now either you're gonna want to do this for the rest of your life, or you're never gonna come back. And so I stuck around. So that stuff. I mean, I was scared, but I was excited at the same time. So I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, on how or why, but I was just like involved in it, and I couldn't.
Was you scared because you really believed it, or I mean, because this is what scares people: the unknown.
Yeah,
Yep.
we were talking about that on Saturday. So yeah, the unknown is
The thought of it that could be real. That scares people.
And that's what I was mentioning on our last show. The mystery of it all. The mystery and the intrigue of there actually being this big, humongous, gigantic, whatever it is out there. And I don't believe it. I'll be the first one to tell you I don't believe it. And Robert knows I don't believe it. But like I said last time, I mean, I trust this guy. And if he tells me that, he's seen evidence, I've got to say there's something out there.
So do you believe it, Robert, or are you an adrenaline junkie?
You know what? I've never seen it. But I've seen stuff in the woods like I can't explain, like how. I mean, I could take you guys to East Texas and we'll look at the map and we'll go to an area and I always find stuff. I mean, I find like 18-inch footprints and then I'll find like trees 8 feet up, 4-inch diameter trees just twisted, and it's twisted like without like an opposable thumb. You can't do it. A truck can't do it. So I mean, there's stuff that I find, and the people I talk to. I mean, do people lie whenever they say they saw Bigfoot? Yeah, it's possible. But some people are convinced that they've seen a Bigfoot, and I have to take it as face value and just go with it and try to look at the area and just look at the evidence and say, okay, did they see one? Is there vegetation? Is there water? Is there game here? Is it viable? And I always say, yeah, it is. But there's some sighting reports I used to get. I go, I don't think so.
I don't know if it's real or not. I believe in other life and other things that could possibly be, but when I read the stories on the internet and the sightings, sometimes I feel like I have no option but to believe it. Have you ever been on an interview where you were that's it, you were convinced?
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I've interviewed somebody and I threw the same question, but I reworded it differently. And this person that I was interviewing, she didn't get fazed by it. She just kept, because like you look for someone to change their story when you give them 300 questions and you throw in like 6 of them are like the same. They just word it differently. And then she stuck to her story.
Do you think you could run out of arguments, Chris? I mean, if I've never did drugs, I would, could you run out of arguments and believe me?
I mean, the only way that I'm going to believe that a Bigfoot is out there or some sort of Bigfoot out there is a personal experience. And like I said before, I've been I've hunted many times, not in East Texas very many times, but I've hunted South Texas, I've hunted West Texas, I've hunted North Texas. And I have never seen anything remotely close to anything that a Bigfoot would do, or that people say Bigfoot do. So,
and see, I would think you would see it before Robert because you're not looking for it.
And
Right.
that's what we talked about kind of last. I think it's going to be that if somebody is going to find this thing out there, it's going to be somebody that's not looking for it. He shared a story about a guy hunting. That guy wasn't looking for Bigfoot, but guess what? Bigfoot came and looked at him, according to his story.
This same guy that I was talking about, he was a hunter. He was a big dude. He was like 6'7", like 260, and he had like one of those big rifles. And his brother called me and said, "Hey, my brother saw a Bigfoot and wants to know if you can go talk to him." And I said, "Okay." So I drove out to his area. It was like a 4-hour drive. And when I got to the guy's house, I knocked on the door, and the guy opened the door with the chain on. And he slid a map out and said, "This is the map where I saw it." And I said, "You're not going to go with me?" He goes, "No, I'm not going to go out there ever again." And so he was convinced that he saw something.
He should have shot it.
Yeah,
You said he had a big gun, right?
Yeah, I said, well, I ended up coming back and talking to him because I went out to the area and looked, and it was like on hard clay, so I couldn't see any footprints. I didn't see nothing. Hung out there for a couple hours, came back, called him on the phone because he didn't want to talk to me face to face. And I asked one of the questions I asked him. I said, well, how come you didn't shoot it? He said it looked like a homeless guy. And he said it looked like a man, but tall and was hairy, and I couldn't do it.
You know what they say with about a guy with a big gun, right?
What?
Big bullets. So, Chris, I mean, if we had it laying here in front on the floor, would you be a believer then, or would you want to cut it open?
No, well, obviously, if it's laying there, I'm going to be a believer, but I'm going to want to cut that sucker open.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to want to dissect that sucker and see what is going on.
I can't ever forget about the story you told me about. They sold it and it was just stuffed. Right.
That was Tom Biscardi's story. I think it was. I can't remember the guy, and I don't want to give that guy any play because he's a jerk. Yeah. He's a jerk. I'm not going to give him any play, but it was in Georgia. I believe it was an ape costume, and they filled it full of bricks. They put a dead possum at the bottom of this freezer. They put the costume on top, and then they filled it full of water and froze it.
So with all your experience. Mm-hmm. I mean, you ask all these people, how come you didn't shoot it? How come you did it? With all your experience, what would you do if you had an encounter?
Whenever I first started,
for survival.
Whenever I first got into Bigfoot, I was carrying a Mossberg shotgun, and for the first year I did that, and I don't know. I ended up talking to a lot of Native American people and tribes and other people, and I just. All the stories that I got, this thing was pretty peaceful. And so I quit carrying it. And I just carried like a big knife.
Yeah, I would think any weapons would be the last resort, right? I mean, isn't there other survival tactics?
Mostly.
Run.
I mean, like would be less threatening for him?
Well, here's the thing though. I quit carrying weapons, and then I just wanted an experience. And does that sound dumb? Yeah, it does.
So you're getting ready, right? Running track or working out or something, right?
all the sightings I interviewed with people and stuff. This thing would show it. If it wanted to show itself, it showed itself. And then if you didn't leave, it left. But it made a bunch of noise to do it. But if you left first, then they would shadow you until you were gone. But if you didn't leave, it left. So most of the stories, like I said, most of the stories I interviewed with, it was peaceful. So I quit carrying a gun. So I never carried a gun after that. So
if I hear another tree smash another tree and it's not thunder and raining, or you can't tell me it's a bird, I'm running.
Yeah,
it's an alpha male telling you that, hey, he's the alpha.
Yeah,
pretty
get
much.
away. All right,
So
get out of my area.
So you speak about how they're peaceful,
right?
Okay. So again, today I went and I looked, and I was trying to find something about today. Like Bigfoot history in today. All right. So I came across this article, and it's the Bangor Daily News. It's titled "Bigfoot in Maine." 10-foot tall wild man was killed in 1866. Newspapers reported. All right. So it's 18,
that was reported today. Like in history or what?
Yeah, it's this article came out on October 8th, 1886.
Okay.
All right. So that's why I picked this article, because it was from today.
And that's a good article, but for me, I don't think it matters when it was printed, today or
Right.
10 years
Yeah.
ago. If someone died because of this, how come they wasn't hunted by authorities
Let's get to this story.
or the military?
So it says, inside the October 8th, 1886 pages of the Industrial Journal of Bangor lies the story of a 10-foot tall wild man with 7-foot arms and hair all over his body. The historic newspaper was discovered by Bangor resident Donald Ricker, who dabbles in antiques. He found the periodical inside a leather case protecting a piece of thick black glass. The original article about the wild man was reported by the Waterville Sentinel. All right, so this guy is into antiques. He bought an antique.
Right.
This article was wrapped around this piece of glass, so he just happened to come across it. All right, this is what the article. It was a Frenchman. So it starts out, the Frenchman's story, which is implicably believed, is that 3 men were camping out in the woods about 100 miles north of Moosehead Lake. The 127-year-old newspaper article states 2 of the campers were away from the camp for a week and came back to find the dead body of their companion. This is why you talk about them being peaceful. So
Right.
I'll ask you some questions afterwards, or let you give your opinion when I get done with the story.
Okay.
The unarmed storyteller, possibly a Canadian. What does that have to do with anything? I don't know why they put possibly a Canadian in there, but he's possibly a Canadian. Had his fellows, had his fellows in town all by the ears with the story about the giant wild man he encountered in the dense woods above Moosehead, according to the papers. When he and the other campers discovered their friend was dead, they searched out others to form a posse to kill his killer. They went for help, and reinforced by dozens, others searched the woods for the unknown murderer. The stories read, it proved to be a terrible wild man, 10 feet tall, with arms 7 feet in length, covered with long brown hair. The party fired several shots at him and finally succeeded in reaching a fatal spot, laying the monster low. Newspapers of this era used few images, and none of the articles had accompanying sketches of the wild man, which I think is kind of intriguing. All right. The Sentinel story was picked up by the Wilton Record and ran in the Franklin County Towns newspaper on October 6th, 1886. So that was the original newspaper that picked it up, and then this Bangor Daily News picked it up and ran it on the 8th.
Did this article have any pictures attached to it? Or
No, that's what they were saying. That's what they were saying. Newspapers of this era used few images, and none of the articles had accompanying sketches of the wild man.
Yeah, they only have sketches back then.
So yeah, I was just I don't know when the first camera came out, but I guess I don't know.
They didn't have one.
Okay, so they didn't do any sketches or anything like that. 2 days later, the same article appeared in the Industrial Journal, a weekly newspaper based in Bangor that was devoted to the manufacturing, commercial, agricultural, railroad, and steamship hotel and summer resort and fish and game interests of the Northwest. Northeast. They might want to shrink that for marketing purposes, because that's really long to say.
That's too much.
So that's way too much. So you talked about it being peaceful. It says in here this thing killed somebody. We also all picked up on, hey, there's no pictures, there's no images, there's no nothing. But what I want to ask you, and I like how Tucker brought up, it doesn't matter what time period, time era, whatever, this thing killed somebody. What they did, they posseed up and they went out and they said they killed this.
Right.
But I think for someone, any gorilla or Bigfoot or any animal this strong in size has the ability to kill anybody. I think these people go crazy because they don't expect to see it. If they did, they say, I don't know if you want me to bring this up, and if you don't, stop me, but what about the guy that shot the 35 millimeter?
Roger Patterson.
Is that what everybody goes off of when they draw pictures and sketches? And
pretty much.
And how come he didn't follow him and do other research?
I don't know. That's a good question. He's already passed away. Bob Gimlin is still alive, and he was the one who was backing him that had the rifle. I don't know why. He's probably done some interviews on why they haven't done it, but I haven't.
That'd be interesting to look up. I've never
like
looked any of his
Harry and the Hendersons. I mean, where does everybody get what a Bigfoot's supposed to look like? Maybe just from that video.
commercial wise. I mean,
Right.
it's they go off of what other people say, what other people do in movies.
But when I think about it, if is it just from that video, or if people really saw him?
Yeah.
So
I want, when you hear this story, when I was reading this story, because
Right.
this is the first time you've ever heard it.
right.
What are your thoughts? What are your immediate thoughts, and what do you think of when you hear stories like this?
Well, when I hear that story, the first thing I'm going to think of is how was the guy killed? Okay, was he stabbed? Was his guts pulled out? Was his neck broke?
And there's no details of that.
There's no details of that at all. And Bigfoot's. Most of the people that I've talked to, and I've read, dozens of books. I've read other people's sighting reports. Most of the time, these things they're present, and you see them, and then if you don't leave, they'll leave. If not, they'll follow you until you leave. So this doesn't sound like a Bigfoot story. I think this sounds like a cover up.
Or they would be just ripped to shreds, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, because like,
he's not very tactical, right? I mean,
well, I mean, Bigfoots will protect their own, but they'll do it in very very little as possible.
you think Bigfoot is extinct, or you think there's a lot of them all over the world? Because there's a lot of sightings.
I think there's a lot of them. Especially in East Texas and Oklahoma.
But the woods are getting smaller,
Yeah, then they'll migrate somewhere else. So
and then those woods are getting smaller.
then they'll keep migrating.
They're going to buy a house. I mean, what's
Maybe.
going to happen? Because I don't know. Where are they going? I don't see them running down the highway to move.
Well, they're not in Dallas County.
They can't run underground. I mean, where? I don't know. I just want to see one, but where do I go?
East Texas
Yeah, or Oklahoma,
or Oklahoma.
up in the mountains.
I know that
Kenichi Mountains.
you and again, if you don't want me to talk about you moving and all that stuff, I won't. But I will anyway.
Okay.
I know you moved to Oklahoma
Right,
to follow a dream,
right,
and when you got up there, it didn't go the way you wanted it to go.
right.
When you were in Oklahoma, when you said, "Hey, I'm leaving Texas, I'm going to Oklahoma," what was it about? What made you go to Oklahoma?
Well, I moved to Tulsa County, and the 50-mile radius around Tulsa, there was Bigfoot sightings on either side. So that, to me, that was intriguing. And when I got there, I ended up getting a couple stories, but it never panned out because the people who called me up got scared and just didn't want to do the story. But that was intriguing to me, is that 50-mile radius all around Tulsa County, there was sightings. So
Now these sightings, when you talk about sightings in East Texas, sightings in Oklahoma, Tucker brought it up. There's sightings all over the world. Okay, now when you talk about a sighting in East Texas and a sighting in Oklahoma, and we'll get back to this story in a second, but we kind of got off on this tangent. I want to keep going here. Is it the same? Is it the same Bigfoot that lives here in Texas that it is in Oklahoma? Or are there different? I mean, yeah, we're all people, we're all humans, but we're all different.
you
You mean like Mexicans and whites, or what?
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't even have to be Mexicans, whites. It could be
different breeds.
big,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
so-
they got to migrate with somebody.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, I mean, I've done sightings in, I think, southeast Texas, and the Bigfoots there were described as, 300 pounds and really skinny but tall, and their hair was like really long and stringy. And then I would get some in East Texas that, they look like a homeless guy with short hair. I got some with, brown, tan, black, red, different colors all the time. And that always intrigued me.
So is it? Are you thinking more of like an evolution type of thing? Like they evolved to their surroundings, and
I think so. I mean, it could be that. It could be, they're drinking, water or agriculture that got pesticides in it.
you bring up a good point there, because flamingos, before they're pink, they're like a brownish tan color.
Mm-hmm.
But what they eat is the reason why they turn pink.
Yeah.
Because of what they eat. So
I mean, it could be that. It could be a couple things. I mean, I'm I'm spitballing here. So
You think Bigfoot was started first, and we evolved somewhere down the line, years and years?
I don't know. That's ideology that I'm not sure I want to.
On the interviews, do you think they backed out because they were scared and they were embarrassed? And was it really true, or they backed out? They don't want to go through this lie.
Yeah, I'll say this. One of the stories was a lady, and I can't remember the town, but it was east of Tulsa, between Tulsa and the Arkansas border, and it was a lady that bought some property, and it wasn't bought. She was inherited this property, and she bought a mobile home, and so she was going to build a house there. So she put the mobile home there, so she could watch the house being built. And I guess in the middle of the night, this Bigfoot would come and slap the mobile home, and I forget how she got my number, but she reached out to me. I think this was back when it was like MySpace or something.
But couldn't that have been anybody?
Well,
Yeah, that's my thought.
Can I call the police tonight and say, "Hey, Bigfoot just knocked on my window"?
Okay, I didn't say this. It was an open field, and like you could see either direction for 100 yards. And so when her husband went outside, they didn't see anybody. This thing was long gone.
So when you say slap, what do you mean slap?
They would run by, and then I guess with the palm or their fist, and they would just slap the side of the.
Like bang it.
Yeah, bang it like really hard.
Like where? Knock on the door.
Like just the side of it, side wall.
Not like real high.
I didn't ask that question.
Did they do it in the room they were in?
I think so. Yeah,
that would be scary.
That's what got them up really quick.
I don't care if it's a Bigfoot slapping my house. Whatever slapping my house is gonna be scary.
So so she reached out to me, and then I said, okay, I could be there this weekend. I go, is it okay? And then she said, yeah. And then she called me that was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and she called me like on Thursday and said, I can't do it. My husband doesn't want me to do it, so we're not gonna. I said, well, I can't help you if I'm not out there. And she goes, well, I'm sorry. I go, okay, well, I'm sorry.
How does she know it was Bigfoot?
I don't know. I think she probably researched it. And
if you was her, would you have been putting out traps the next day?
Well, I did. Whenever before I hung up with her, I told her, was there a Walmart by her? And she said, yeah. And I said, go buy you some game trackers and put them on poles and put them around your. Because
I'm talking about protection. You're talking about proof. I'm talking. Traps. Trying to catch it. Or?
You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever I say go to Walmart, get game trackers, it's my theory, and this is my theory, been for a long, long time, that game trackers emit like a infrared beam. Okay, to catch game, to take pictures. Right? You got that? Right?
Yeah.
And so it's been my theory that this thing sees the infrared and avoids it. So if you put out game trackers, this thing goes the other way.
But I don't want to keep it away. I don't want it to harm other people. I want to catch it.
Well, you want to catch it, but I was trying to help her.
So you was just trying to keep it away from it?
I was trying to keep it away.
But what would you do? Would you do the same and keep it away?
Yeah, I would.
You wouldn't try to draw it in and get information?
How would you catch it? How would you catch it?
I don't know.
With a tranquilizer? Tranquilizer gun?
So
you don't know how much tranquilizer to put in? That's what I'm saying.
To knock an elephant down.
I heard they had really thick skin.
So
because you could shoot it all day, and you won't be able to get.
So
whose phone is that?
So when you say they see infrared,
Right.
Me being the non-believer,
Right.
and me being like I said last time, I go into everything wanting to debunk it as if it didn't happen. I'm gonna say to that is
Garbage.
an excuse to say that, well, we do that. That's why Bigfoot's never been caught on a game camera.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And to me, I mean, when I first started in 99, 2000, that was our game plan, was put out game trackers to find out where a Bigfoot was. And I think we went along the lines of, we ran out of game trackers, and so someone just put a regular camcorder in like a crook of a tree.
I remember you telling me this, yeah.
And this thing, I don't know, and we put it somewhere where no one knew where it was at. I mean, we put it like way deep in the woods, and we put it like in a crook of a tree, and we got video of this thing avoiding the camera, and it was like throwing sticks, and branches in front of it to see if it would set off the infrared. The picture.
Now, what is the angle that this is at?
It was like probably about 6 feet high, and it was like aimed straight ahead at this game trail. And so we were.
So where were the sticks coming from?
Behind it.
Okay.
They were throwing it behind it.
So you would just see like a stick come over the camera.
It was like way in the woods where no one knew where it's at. We didn't broadcast it. We didn't post it anywhere. And we just walked in the woods like, so let's put it right here. So we put it right there. So we ran out of game cams, and so we said we just put this up there, and that's how we came up with the idea. I said this thing could see the infrared beam.
How did you keep this regular camera going?
It ran into the battery ran out.
Okay, so you just stuck it on there until the battery ran out.
we left it there overnight, and we camped somewhere else, and then we walked back to go pick it up. And
so you just put it on play and sat in.
Yeah, I started watching. I said, "Wait, this is son of a bitch."
I get chills every time you talk about this. I don't know why, and I love to hear it. Every time. Well, I know you told me one story. You was in the woods, and big like boulders were coming after you, like something a human couldn't lift.
It wasn't like it was boulders. It was like maybe like a good, probably like a 6-inch rock that I would have a hard time picking up and tossing. And so, I think I was in Oklahoma. I was in Warriors, Oklahoma. I was in the Kiamichi Mountains, and I was by a campfire with 2 other colleagues that I did research with. And it was really windy that day, and I think it was in a full moon. It was like pretty dark, so you couldn't see like 10 feet away. And so we were sitting there laughing, talking and stuff, and this rock just hits the ground like thud and starts rolling toward us. And you could see it like in the campfire fire. Well, it came into view, and it was a big rock, and it was still rolling toward us.
Sometimes I think if you don't give up, you'll see it. I think you might be in the top 10% of the closest encounters.
Yeah, and I just yelled really loud. I go, "I'm sorry if we're being too loud."
You think he understood you? You think they could speak English?
I was going to say, what language do they speak? They yell.
I mean, it was like, I think another time I was in the same campgrounds, and we were like in this cabin, and like around 4:00 in the morning, you could hear like somebody, because like all around this whole area in Moyers, there's like huge rocks and big boulders, and it sounded like this somebody going to town on 2 rocks, just like banging 2 rocks. And I got up to use the restroom, and it was like 4 a.m. I got out, and I was peeing and stuff, and you could hear pap 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 constantly.
Now, was you able to keep concentrated? You're in a safe place, right? I mean, safe place right now. By the way, you can say whatever happened, but did you piss on yourself?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, because I
would have peed right down my leg.
It sounded like it was like maybe, I don't know, a mile away, but you could hear it. It was echoing through that whole area. It was like pap, pap, like pounding. And it was like nobody in the area, because to get on this property, you have to go past like a security guard.
So if you were in the woods and these big rocks were coming after you, Chris, and then, if you said, "I'm sorry, I'm in your area," if he, I mean, would you start running, or you been like Robert and say, "Did you say something?" And you start getting closer.
First off,
you wouldn't be in the woods.
I'm not going hunting for Bigfoot. But first off, if a rock comes at me like that, yeah, I'm gone. I'm gone.
You're not going to throw it back?
Yeah. If I can't pick it up, no. So, but yeah, I mean, when I hear these stories and I hear all this, and again, I'm coming at it with I'm gonna debunk it if I can. You're saying like this 6-inch. It's a big rock. I get it. It's a huge rock. And I can see both sides of it too, because what would a big strong man be in the woods chunking rocks at you for?
Right.
Why? Because I can think of 3 guys right now that could throw that rock like it's nothing, but they're all world strong men.
Right.
And but why would a world strong man? Why would somebody that big be out there chunking rocks at you?
Be out in Moyers, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that might be how Mark Henry practices.
Maybe Mark Henry might be chunking boulders at Bigfoot hunters.
But like I was saying, I got out to use the restroom. I could hear this thing pounding on a rock. It sounded like a mile away, but it was echoing this whole area. And then I yelled at the top of my lungs, "I hear you." It stops for like 4 seconds. And then he goes back to hit and run again. Bam, bam.
Because you didn't move.
So do you think that was? I mean, he was acknowledging you,
Probably.
saying, "Hey, I hear you too." But I mean, here's my thinking. If I'm out there and I live here, okay, say I'm putting myself in a Bigfoot. This is my home,
Right.
Okay, and you're coming in here and you're hunting me, and I'm chunking boulders at you, or I'm smacking rocks over here, and you yell at me. I mean, obviously this thing knows it's huge. Obviously this thing knows it's big. I'm gonna yell out one of those crazy screams that he's got that gives me chills every time I hear it. I'm gonna let that sucker go and make you run.
Well,
What was it about this incident you think that he didn't scream or he didn't do anything to make you try to get out of here?
it's theory and it's just conjecture. Okay, because I don't have any like scientific proof to back this. But
Did you leave?
No, I stayed the night and then I left the next morning.
Was it because that's the closest you think you've ever gotten, all the work you've put in, you wanted it? Or, I mean, why didn't you leave?
To be honest with you, I was camping, and then it was happened to be Bigfoot area, so I was camping. And
So you was fighting him over space. Like, I paid for this.
So
I'm
yeah,
staying.
why didn't he run you off?
Well, here's the thing. It's in theory that the Bigfoots, they communicate through either a tree knocks, or they'll get a piece of wood and they'll hit like a base of a tree.
So this dude's calling
or rocks.
This
yeah.
dude's calling his homeboys.
He was doing a long distance call.
He's calling his homeboys, and you
So-
stay there. You know this. He's calling his homeboys, and you're staying there.
He was probably letting them know that we were in the area,
And you're gonna wait for him.
and to avoid us. That's what he was probably telling us. He's probably telling them because like
So you're saying he doesn't mind you being there?
he can't if we don't want to leave. He's not gonna make us leave. So
But what about all these? I don't know if there's encounters and he made him leave or he killed him.
yeah, I mean
Yeah, I mean he killed this guy. In our story,
Moores, Oklahoma, Kiamichi Mountain is a big area. It's a big area, and we were like maybe 2% of that whole area, and it just moved on to somewhere else.
I wonder if there's anybody out there maybe was not believers and they hear you and now they're believers, because I mean I can always fall back on the 35 millimeter film,
Right.
but I know as many interviews as you've been on and you're talking calmly right now. You're not nervous. You're speaking from experience. I mean,
that's
I ran out of things to say.
That's what I'm saying. It's. I trust this guy. I believe this guy, but I'm just of the mindset.
It's just because you've never seen it personally. That's normal for any man.
Yeah, I've never had. I told you I've been in the woods many times. When I was in the military, we were out in the middle of the woods in Oklahoma. I've been out in the middle of the woods in Missouri. I've been in the middle of the woods, and I've been out there by myself and many times, and I have never once seen any kind of evidence of a Bigfoot.
I don't know. That's weird that you've been in the military and y'all can't share the same stories.
Well, like I was saying before, Bigfoots have they're like a deer, and they have like strong eyesight, strong sense of smell, and strong hearing. They just have a big brain. So if they want to be seen, they'll be seen.
They can see at night.
Let me
Because
ask
the
you
military
this.
don't sleep. They're out there at night.
Let me ask you this: how do you know that?
How did I know that? Because they're people always ask me all the time, well, how come you can't take a picture of it? Mm-hmm. And I've actually walked in the woods with a camera in my hand, ready to take a picture, and I walk down a trail and I see a fox come through, and I still can't catch it fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what is Chris is trying to ask, what are you basing all this off
Yeah,
of?
what is this big brain? What is this big great eyesight? Great. You say they're like a deer.
Yeah, because like most of the stories that I've talked to that people run up on it, it's because they're probably in an area they're not supposed to be, or there's probably like young Bigfoot there, and that's the only time that all the stories that I've read and actually interviewed with that people they've actually run across Bigfoot because they're either in their way, or they have food, or they're in their way to get food, or they're blocking the Bigfoot from getting food or water. And so whenever they see this stuff, they see them. And so I've been in the areas that had sighting reports like 3 days ago, and I'd go like 2 days later to go to it, and I'll see them for months after. Because like after I would get a sighting report, I would go and go stay at this place for like 3 months. I go every weekend, and I wouldn't see anything.
So you're basing your characteristics of this unclassified animal off of people's stories, and the actions of this this unclassified animal.
Yeah, and I've actually read John Bennernagel's book. He's a wildlife biologist, and I've actually talked to him in person. He's a wildlife biologist, and the ideas that I had, he says he had the same ideas. So I mean,
it sounds like these ideas not you, but these ideas are compared to he's an animal, my dog's an animal. Right. He can run at night, see at night. He must be able to also.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I could go get a deer, and biologists have.
Right.
They've cut these deers open. They've measured these deers. They've done all these extensive tests on these deers and dogs and all this stuff. So we have tangible physical evidence of these creatures being able to do what they do.
Right.
Now, you're saying that based on the evidence we have off of other creatures acting in the same way, that's how you can get the idea that this creature can act like a deer. Because we've caught a deer, we know what a deer can do.
Right.
They mimic a deer. They act like a deer.
Yeah.
So based off of that, you can say this is why we know. However, deers get caught on infrared game cameras all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to catch a deer by hand. It's easy to shoot, but it's hard to catch it by hand. But at least you see him. Right?
Yeah,
my cat is smart, and if he don't want to be caught, I won't catch him. But I'll see him.
But he has a small brain though. He doesn't know.
Deer? What about deers? You compared him to a deer.
No, I'm saying deers have small brains. They don't know what an infrared beam is.
This one has a bigger one?
Yeah, he's got a big skull.
I don't know that. I've never seen it.
You've seen it on the 35 millimeter.
Yeah. On that one, yeah.
But I don't believe that's real.
Right.
You can't. I don't know.
I don't believe it's
a lot. I've read a lot of stuff on the internet.
And again, this is me having absolutely zero Bigfoot background.
And I'm
absolutely zero.
I'm not here to convince you at all. I'll just tell you.
But I'm here to drill you though.
But
so your opinion, you think someone dressed up in a costume and he shot that 35 millimeter?
I don't think that guy. I don't think that guy. And the reason why I say it's because I went in 2000. No, it was not. Yeah, 2001. I went to the Ohio Bigfoot conference in Newcomerstown. It was run by Don Keating, and I met this guy named Larry Lund. Larry Lund is from, I think, Oregon or Washington State. I can't remember. But when that happened, when the Roger Patterson happened, he went down there like the day after, and he took he was showing me Polaroids of him being in Bluff Creek. He was telling me that the creek bed that film was shot on was volcanic ash. And he says volcanic ash is dense, and even a horse can't put a footprint deep. I mean, a horse or a Bigfoot could put a footprint in volcanic ash. A regular person couldn't. So there's footprints.
When I first met you, I was thinking, man, I have a friend that he's a Bigfoot researcher, and that's kind of weird, but I've liked wrestling all my life, and I took criticism for that. I was like, man, I found someone that I can relate to. But then when I saw that 35, I used to collect cameras, and when I saw that 35 millimeter, that's the real deal. Like, you can't edit it, you can't mess with that film at all.
And what you said is a big reason why I have an open enough mind. Is this guy doesn't waver. He doesn't waver on his stories. Yeah. He doesn't. If you ask him to tell a story, and then you wait 10 years later and ask him to tell the same story, it's going to be the same story.
Yeah.
If you ask him...
No, it's true. The stories that he's telling, I've heard some of these, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I've heard
stories. Well, not 20, but...
I've heard stories, from the first day we met, which I don't even know. I still don't even know how long we've known each other, but however long we've known each other, it's probably 6 years.
Yeah.
And stories that you've told me when we first met to now, it's the same exact details. It's the same exact stories. So
I said 20, I meant 10. Sorry. I was 27 when I
know. I feel old.
But But yeah, that I mean, and I'm not here to be convinced. I'm
Right.
not here to have you convince me. I just like picking your brain. I like hearing the stories. I think people are intrigued, especially people like me that don't have anything to do with Bigfoot. I'm intrigued by it. I when I was a kid, I thought he was cool.
Yeah,
You know?
I still think he's cool.
Well, I think he's freaky if he's really out there and he can stay there, and I don't want to see him unless it's dead and we get to cut it open. So
Sweet.
But yeah, that's part of why I keep an open mind about Bigfoot. About Bigfoot is because here's a guy that I've known for many years who doesn't waver, who doesn't give an inch. It's the same, always. So
They're giving me the scissor fingers again.
the scissor fingers again.
Let's move on. So,
Okay, our next subject we're going to be talking about the paranormal.
The paranormal.
This is one of my favorite games of all time, too.
Yeah,
I scratch right there.
it's when in between levels, right?
my first paranormal experience, I was about 12 years old. I think that got me ready to be an adult.
Really?
Like working security. And I know I bring that up a lot. I've had a lot of, my grandfather bought a house. He's passed now. So he bought a house over there by Fair Park. And walking up to the house, we were just going to gut it out. Mm-hmm. Me and my dad, he passed, my stepdad, he's passed. And, we were going to take all the copper and everything we could get, for scrap. And there was a tombstone in the sidewalk walking up to the house. It still exists. I think they knocked it down after this, but I think everything's still there. But there was a tombstone walking up to the house.
Blue diamond.
And
Blue diamond.
when we got in the house, everything was normal. And then stuff started happening you couldn't explain.
Right.
The dishes started coming out of the cabinets. The rocking chairs in the living room were rocking.
That takes a lot of
We
power.
ran out of this house.
That takes a lot of
And they
power.
knocked it down after that. I don't know the explanation, but it scared me. That was my first one. And that was real.
That was-
I had a whole family with me, and they're my witnesses.
So when you talk about dishes coming out of the cabinets, how
It wasn't flying.
yeah,
You
was
know,
it
kind of like just someone tipped them over.
okay?
There wasn't like a movie. They
yeah.
wasn't flying out, hitting the walls.
Because that's a lot of power to generate.
No.
To generate,
And since you brought that up, we could argue maybe there was a rat somewhere in the cabinets.
And
It was crawling around, but it scared me enough till I ran out.
Yeah.
I didn't find out.
Hey, I was just
So,
thinking maybe it's a rat.
what about the rocking chairs? A rat behind
The ground
a cat
was
playing,
the
or-
ground was uneven.
We could argue a lot, but I ran out. I didn't stay
breeze.
to find out. Yeah.
and again, here's my thing, Tucker. I 100% believe in ghosts. I 100% believe in spirits. I 100% believe in the paranormal.
Believes in ghosts, but not in Bigfoot.
But not in Bigfoot. So, because of my personal experiences, because of the experiences I went through, and like I said last time, anytime I go into any story or any investigation, anything like that, I go into it with the mindset, this is not real, I'm going to debunk it. So my mindset goes to, if these suckers are flying off, I know for absolute certain that there's something in there that's not supposed to be in there. But if they're rattling or tipping, my mindset, automatically I go to a rat.
But we just walked in the house with that feeling like we were uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's the
And
key.
it wasn't walking into an ice box like you described.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable. Like the hair was standing up on my back. I look like Bigfoot when I take my shirt off. But, and then I don't know how to explain it. It was just an uncomfortable feeling. But I guess we could argue like it was like Bigfoot,
And
Maybe it wasn't
again,
real.
you said this is an abandoned house, right?
Yeah.
So there's no electric going to it.
No.
There's no currents going to it.
No.
Wow.
Spirits need something to generate.
So when you walked in that house, you were probably like a battery for them.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna if there's no electricity. Thanks, Robert. You hit what I was getting at. If there's no electricity, if there's no nothing in, they're using you.
Yeah.
So,
But that traumatized. Okay, I was only 12. My brother was like 6 or 7, and we walked into a house near. It was over there by Lake Ray Hubbard, It was an abandoned like
That's where I
mansion.
grew up.
Yeah, like abandoned big house. We walked in it, and my brother, I don't know why, but he opened one of the closets and went to walk in, and his foot fell to the floor, and he pissed all over himself. Haha, Cyril, if you're listening. So yeah, I mean, it traumatized him. You
Yeah.
know, because the previous experience we had, anywhere we went, he was scared.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's scared till today. Maybe maybe
probably
crawls in
is.
the dark by himself. Yeah.
He probably is.
So, and again, I've had so many experiences, and when I was a kid, mine started early on when I was a kid, in several different places. Like I shared last time, I had one that followed me around, the little girl at the table. We'll get into that story, a little more later on, but those experiences, going back to what Robert said, he believes in paranormal, but he doesn't believe in Bigfoot. Going back to that, yeah, those experiences, and what you said is, man, you hit the door, you ran, you didn't take any time to investigate. Yeah, as a kid, when I saw that little girl, all I wanted to do was run, but I couldn't bring myself to do anything at that moment. I was paralyzed with fear, wishing I could run. But I also think too, I was already in my safe place because I was in my house.
Right.
This is my safe place. This is where I'm supposed to go. This is my house. So I think a lot of that. But as I get older, and as a grown man now, I still scared. I'm scared, but I'm so intrigued by it, and I want to know that's what makes me want to go and investigate. That's what makes me want to go, and the fact that I'm firmly planted in my relationship with Jesus Christ.
Right.
And I know that when I go in there, I'm covered by the blood of Jesus, and nothing's going to get inside of me unless I let it.
He's not going to protect you from dying.
Well,
and
but he's gonna protect my soul and where it goes.
right, but it's just that feeling. When I worked in security, I would get the same feeling sometimes going in these buildings, and I would do everything I could not to patrol that one building.
Yeah.
I would give it off to somebody else, and I would try not to go back. Like you, I wasn't looking for it. When I started getting older and I started looking for it, like you said, it was boring. I didn't find anything. Like I heard y'all talking about Catfish Cove. I used to live in Waxahachie, so I went to these hotels. I went to Catfish Cove, and the story's on the menu, and there's things on the wall, and even the waitress will tell you the story and the history. And I ordered appetizer, ate as slow as I could, ordered the main meal, and then dessert. I sat there all day. Give me another drink. Give me a coffee. Let's
Nothing.
Give me a pot. Nothing.
It's boring.
And there's something had to happen there at one point. They even sell tickets on Halloween if you want to sleep there overnight.
Because that's the commercial side of it.
Yeah.
But they only sell like a couple. I don't know how much.
But a story of a haunting is attached to this place. So people are going to go there just for that reason.
Yeah, right. And one year, I forgot what year it was, but they probably did make a lot of money because they had a raffle for 2 people. Spend the night there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to make a correction from the last episode. I was talking about Brad Freeman, a friend of mine, and I said his group's name wrong, so I wanted to get it corrected on here. His group name is Texas Paranormal Expeditions of DFW. And so if you need help and you want paranormal assistance, Brad can help you. And you can reach him by texas.paranormal.expeditions@gmail.com.
Now, I heard you saying like you do this because you just want to help people. How are you really helping them? Do you make it disappear and not ever come back?
No, it's not that. It's just
That's what I would want.
it's not
Absolutely.
that. There's some people that see, like in Bigfoot too. There's some people that see, ghosts, and they're not ready to deal with it. And sometimes a lot of their spouse doesn't believe them, and so they don't have like anywhere to go. And if they don't go to church, they can't go to church. So whenever I was a director for Penn, Texas, we try to help people, try to get them to talk about what they've seen, what they experienced, and then when they're ready to get rid of whatever they're seeing, after we would document it and make sure that it was not them, and we would debunk it, whatever, if it wasn't, then we would bring in somebody from a church or whatever denomination they believed in. If they're
they wanted a shaman, we brought in a shaman. If they were Jewish, then we brought in a rabbi.
But I could go to church and get in a better place and not think about it, but knowing it was there, how can you, even if you're in a better place, how can you share a place with a ghost forever?
I guess it all just depends on the individual.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I can tell you one of the stories that I'll share later on in our podcast is I left the house the next day. It happened, and I was gone the next day. I broke my lease. I paid extra money to break my lease on that house because I wasn't going to live there anymore.
Right.
So after a while, and people don't leave, was it true, or what is the story? Because the Catfish Plantation, on the menu, it tells you the knives are thrown in the kitchen, dishes thrown at the shelves. Like, why? How do they have workers in the kitchen?
What times are these happening?
Yeah.
What?
No, while the workers are there.
Okay, so the workers are there, knives are throwing, all this. I haven't invested. I haven't even looked into this, but there's a lot of questions. Just with the little that you're saying here, there's a ton of questions that I have, but too much to go into right now. But there's so much. The way that I come into this wanting to help people is exactly the reason why I go into any investigation or any kind of thing like that, is to debunk it. I want it at all costs to debunk the situation, because I think so many people, they scare the crap out of themselves, and they believe something's there that's not there. And if at any point in time that I can go and help them say it's a rat instead of a ghost, or it's a breeze or whatever. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now because I'm not in that instance. But going and investigating the property, going and investigating their story, listening to exactly what they said, and determining if there's any way that we can debunk the situation. That is how I want to help people the most, because I don't want people living in a house either with a ghost or believing that there's a ghost in there. I want them to live in their house free and happy and not worry about anything. So my stance on it is to debunk it first.
Remember that feeling I told you I had, the chills through my body and the hair standing up? I watch a lot of shows on TV. I get that same feeling, but I can't make myself stop watching them. Is there any shows on TV that you wasn't able to debunk? Because I see these shows in prisons and old hospitals and schools. And
my thing is when I watch a show on TV, I'm always in the mindset of it's all for money. That's mine.
Yeah.
But what about that one prison in the water in New York that it has to be haunted?
I am in no means saying that these places aren't haunted.
It's an island, right? What I'm talking about?
No, not really.
No, I don't.
I was just gonna say.
You're talking about Alcatraz in San Francisco?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm saying. Yeah.
I was just going to say that, because people watch a lot of TV and they look at a lot of internet stuff. A lot of stuff is I call it TV saturation. Is when someone watches like Ghost Hunters, a marathon, and they look at their kitchen and they see a cabinet open. Oh, it's a ghost. That's what happens whenever you watch too much TV. Because there's been times where I've had some investigations come to me and say, hey, we got a ghost, and I go in there and I go to their house. I said, this sounds like Ghost Hunters episode or Ghost Adventures episode. They're talking about the same things, but that's just me. But I don't, a lot of people see that and they just saturate the crap out of it, and so that's why you, like Chris was saying, you go in and you try to debunk stuff and try to, see if they're actually seeing stuff or they're actually experiencing what they're experiencing, and sometimes old appliances will give off a lot of EMF, and EMF will cause you to be nauseated. It'll cause you to see stuff. It'll cause you, if you're exposed to it too much, then you think you see a ghost.
Since I'm not out getting these experiences personally, is there any show on TV that y'all seen and said, "Oh shit, that's real"?
Not me.
So you think it's like one of those? Well, they're not helicopters, but what are those things you fly around and see
drones.
things? You think it's a drone with a sheet over it? Or
I don't think that. And again, there are shows.
There's stuff that you can plant a spring on that cabinet.
Absolutely, there are shows that I believe that go to places that are haunted. But here's the thing: if you're going to have a TV show and it's going to air for 30 minutes to an hour, and you show absolutely nothing, nobody's going to watch your show.
Right.
And I can guarantee you this. I've been to enough places and done some investigations that it's and granted, they're out there for more than 30 minutes to an hour. They're out there for hours and hours and hours.
Right, like 8
and
hours,
it's
right?
boring. It's
Yeah.
boring. But I can tell you this, not every time that you go out to investigate something, you're going to see something. You're not going to see something every single time. Something big is not going to happen every single time. So I'm not saying that these places that they're going are not haunted. I believe that the places they're going are haunted. I just believe that there's so much saturation for the dollar that, and they want to scare people. If they have a show that's 30 minutes to an hour and they don't have nothing, they're not going to scare anybody.
Right.
Well, I know y'all are more experts than I am. That's why I'm asking y'all, because I see a lot of these shows, and I believe, I don't know if it's real or not. That's why I was asking y'all. I don't know. I believe either they had built up video and they're just, I mean, I know they're just showing you stuff they got. They're not showing you everything behind the scenes, but they built up video. They had a whole week to find something.
I mean, it could be built up video. It could be video from 10 years ago of the same place that they pick here, whatever, however they do it. I'm not in show business, but I know for dang sure, like I mentioned last show, there's plenty of shows that I know are fake that convince me that it's real, and they're good at it. Well, I know the big shows on TV, they can do the same stuff. They have the same technology to do that stuff as the movies do.
Yeah, I used to be in a lot of reality TV, but as soon as I found out, like, I used to watch these people.
It's all scripted.
Camping in the wilderness with nothing.
It's all scripted.
And then, I found out that night they're going to the hotel.
Yeah, it's all
after
scripted.
They go off camera.
Because here's the thing, they're there for entertainment. They're there for money, and if they don't give you a scare. If a guy makes a movie and says, I'm making a movie, it's a scary movie, but then you go and watch this movie and nothing's scary about it, he's not going to make any money, because you're going to go out of there and say, tell my friend, they're going to tell their friends. It's not scary. But if you come out of that movie and you're freaking scared out of your mind because you like scary movies, what are you going to do? I'm probably going to see it 5-6 more times. So that's why people go back to those shows on TV. Because it scares them, and they know every single episode they're going to get something that's scary. So, and this is all just my opinion, because I can tell you my stories and I can share my experiences with you, and I've done it with people and they don't believe me. Just like Robert shares his Bigfoot, I don't believe him. I believe that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit your mic. I believe that he experienced what he believes, but I just don't believe it's a Bigfoot. People believe that I experienced what I believe. They just don't believe it's paranormal. So,
but he's not making any money, and
that's the difference.
I think a lot of these people, they walk into something with all the credibility. I don't want to say anybody's names, like Bear Giles. He had all the credibility. He was in the military and this and that. He's able to camp overnight, and then I hear he's staying in hotels when the camera goes off,
because that's more money.
But Robert, I mean,
that's the difference.
Not making money.
That's the difference. That's why I can sit here and tell Robert, man, you at least put the possibility in my brain of something out there other than a man doing this.
Yeah,
because he's not in it for the money. And I can say that,
Are you in it for the money, Robert?
No.
Do you have an offshore account?
Nope.
I mean, if we were
I'm
sitting on
telling
the
you.
beach, in his house,
Yeah,
on
doing
the podcast
this
right now,
podcast,
I would
be a different story.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I probably wouldn't be his friend. Unless he took me with him.
I was gonna say he'll take you with you.
But to answer your question, your long question, I think Portals of Hell is probably the best show right now. It's got Katrina Weidman and Jack Osborne. Ozzy Osbourne.
I have not. You just told me about that one. I have not checked that one out.
It's
yet.
probably like the best show. I think they go to areas, and Jack is not, he's not a paranormal investigator, but he's an investigator, and it's a really good show. You should check it out.
I should check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Since he's not a paranormal investigator, what makes him best at this?
he likes to investigate stuff, just like does background checks and investigates like properties and stuff like that. So
I
Sounds
think
like a lot of equipment.
I think it's cool that he's not a paranormal investigator.
Hey there, demons. It's me, your boy.
Your boy.
Sorry.
Because that in my mind it gives it more of a truthful sense. He's not going and looking for him.
Yeah, I think he's
Too sweet.
sorry.
I got to check that show out though. You were telling me about that the other day,
Simone.
at work. So I need to check that out.
I think I'm older now, and I think I would, if I did have an encounter, I would stay just to see how it turned out.
I would too. It depends on the encounter, because I told you I left the house because of the encounter.
Yeah.
So
I'm not talking about a violent one.
yeah.
Yeah, you would want to experience something.
Yeah. I have before, but I ran. Like I said,
I always say the stuff like that. Be careful what you wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't open the door.
Because if you open the door, you can't close
It's
it.
never going to get closed.
Yeah.
So it's not, and I'm not saying that I'm standing there wanting the experience. I want to be there to try to debunk it, to try to figure out what's going on, because as soon as I knew that it was real in the house that I was living in, I told you the next day I was gone. I was gone. I told the landlord, I'm paying you whatever I got to pay to get out of here. I'm leaving.
I wonder if he knew.
I don't know, man. He was like,
he knows now.
He knows now, but I don't even know if he believed me or not. But he was like, man, at the time, he's probably dead and gone now. He was like 75 years old when I was in the house, and this was like, man, this was my oldest daughter's 15. She was like 1 or 2 at the time, maybe.
He's probably
no.
haunting the house,
She
too.
was older. She was like 3 or 4. My middle daughter was like 2. But
He's probably haunting the house. now.
I was gonna say, if anything, he's in the house now. So. But yeah, but it depends on the experience.
I'm not begging for an experience. I'm just saying any kind of experience. I'm old enough. I wouldn't stop it. So what? I don't know how to ask this question.
Just ask.
Keep going. Let me think of a question. I mean, I have it inside.
But yeah, going back to the whole experience thing and wanting to sit through it and not wanting to sit through it or whatever. Like I said, when I was a kid, and I like the fact that you say when you're older, because when I was a kid, I was paralyzed. I mean, I was legitimately scared enough to where I couldn't move. But that was because I actually saw a full body manifestation sitting in front of me. Now, whenever I had all the other experiences, the feelings, the noises, all the other little things, I wasn't scared enough to where I didn't move. I was in a state of, man, this is what is going on. What is going on? What is this happening? So I did. I started my little investigations on my own, and I never could either debunk it or confirm it. Either one. Me personally, I knew that it was happening, and I knew that this was not of this world.
What makes I still don't know how to ask this question. What makes a house haunted? What makes, because I've had people pass in the houses I've lived in, and afterwards I didn't feel anything.
That's a hard question.
It is.
I would say that a lot of times, when someone lives in a house, whether they're living life happily or they die violently, you leave an impression of energy behind, and it's like it's imprinted on that house or that property, and it also, I think, it affects whether there's like groundwater under the house or maybe crystals or limestone, and it's just like that stuff is just it harnesses energy.
Do people have to die in a house for it to be haunted? What if they die in a hospital? Can they follow you home?
Yeah, like I said, I've had spirits follow me. I've had a spirit follow me from one house to the other, and I think a lot of it too is I know anything of the paranormal world is evil. There is no good in the paranormal world. It is straight evil.
How do you know?
It's bad because the Bible tells me. The Bible tells me that if it's from a paranormal or if it's the afterlife and it's here, it's bad. And I believe Jesus. So when you talk about somebody dying in a house, and depending on their religious beliefs, depending on if their soul is going to heaven or hell, I think that has, in strictly my opinion, I think that has a lot to do with if they stay there or if they go, or if they do stay there, if they're going to be, evil, because that's what they are. Depending on the situation, is like you were saying, if they were brutally murdered or if they died of a heart attack or something like that, depends to me. in my experiences, that's what dictates the actions that they're going to take in that house.
But what if you had someone like Robert sitting here telling you they're peaceful?
I've had
They're able to get violent and
exactly
be evil, but what if they're peaceful?
I've had peaceful, but that's still, it doesn't mean that it's not evil. It's still evil. It's still from the devil, no matter what.
What do you think, Robert?
You know, I was brought up in the Christian belief, and you know, most of my views are like Chris's views, and you know, if you want to go biblical, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like whenever Jesus comes back and the rise, the people from the dead, they rise. I mean, maybe they're waiting for Jesus to come back, and they're just here until, I don't know. I mean, I'm not dead, so I don't know. So.
Yeah, and again, I'm strong in my faith, but by no means do I understand everything about the dead and everything about when Jesus comes back. My faith is that when I die, I'm going to heaven. And my faith is that everything of the paranormal is evil.
It could be the people who are non-believers,
and that's
that
what
stay here. It's just a theory. It's conjecture,
and that's it. It's just a theory. It's my theory. It's my opinion. It's what I believe, and I believe that the left behind are evil from the devil. And I believe that if they died in a house, if they died of a heart attack, well, they don't have any reason to be upset with anybody, and they don't have any reason to throw stuff around and scare people. They're just there because they don't know where else to go. And
so it's not like a movie. They're not like left behind to comfort anybody.
I mean, I don't know. There's guardian angels. That goes on the other side of it, because a guardian angel is not evil. That's sent from.
You can have the same feeling, right?
Well, I mean, I guess you could have the same feeling, but if it's sent from God, it's not gonna. You're gonna know that it's not harmful. You're gonna know that it's not there to hurt you, because God's not gonna send anything that's gonna hurt you. That's gonna scare you.
So, can you tell the difference between a guardian angel and a peaceful ghost?
It depends on your faith. It depends on if you're rooted in Jesus. It depends. And again, this is my opinion and my beliefs in Jesus Christ. It depends on. I look to the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit. I'm going back to my Assembly of God roots for saying Holy Ghost, but Holy Spirit, I look for Him to discern that for me. If I'm going into a situation and I've got a ghost over here and an angel over here, I'm going to know the difference between a peaceful ghost and a guardian angel. I'm going to know the difference because the Holy Spirit's going to tell me the difference. That's where I come from.
What's going to be the different actions?
Not that I'm going to change subject and make nothing, but it's we're at a 1 hour and 51 minutes right now.
I'm sorry. Last question though. What would be the difference between the actions you think?
I think, and this is we can absolutely go deeper into this when we on another show. But I just to give you the quick answer is the actions. The devil can act like he is good. He did it to Jesus in the desert. He can act like he's good. An angel is not going to act. An angel's going to know. And again, it goes back to the discernment of the Holy Spirit, because they can act the same. They can act the same. The devil can act like Jesus. The devil can make you think that he is Jesus. And they can do the same exact things. They can act the same ways. They can do everything the same. But the discernment of the Holy Spirit is what's going to be the deciding factor in that.
I have a lot more questions. We'll get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do it next time.
Absolutely.
My next question was going to be about reincarnation.
So
too sweet.
Yeah.
Woo. I love them. I love the questions. I love it. And again, everybody listening, man, if you have anything to say, any comments, cheers, jeers, whatever, criticism, we got our facts wrong, or if you want to call us out, anything like that.
Or if this is not a Picasso.
Yeah. If we're just
or if you have a different opinion than we do.
Absolutely. So. Send it out. We have a website, www.bigfootclub.podbean.com. And then we have our Twitter account, which is at Bigfoot Club 1. And you can catch us on Spotify.
And Stitcher. So we're waiting to get on iTunes and Google Play right now.
Yeah, so. I have to get this in because it's really cool. R.L. Stein His birthday is today. He's 76 years old. I did not know this, but according to scholastics.com and ranker.com, Goosebumps is the second largest selling series, not just children's series, but series ever in the history on the bestsellers list. It's right in the middle. Harry Potter's number 1 and Perry Mason's number 3.
Nice.
So I had to get that in because R.L. Stein is he likes dead stuff.
I'm sorry, but you know what I think about Goosebumps?
Well, I want to thank you two guys for being on the show and talking about these great subjects that we have. But on that note, we're going to call it a night and thank everybody for downloading this and until the next episode.